Hi, my name is Jim Byrne, Principal Systems Engineer for Data Pivot Technologies. Today I'm going to give you a test drive of the Commvault Web GUI. A lot of people are familiar with the old Java GUI, which is still available, but Commvault has a Web GUI that a lot of people haven't seen. It's actually very nice. It's all HTML5. There's no Java that's going to keep you waiting. So I think you'll be impressed with it. And what I've done is I've just built out a test environment that I can use to browse the web GUI with. So with that being said, let's have a peek at the demo environment. Excuse me. And here in North Andover, our main headquarters, I set up a Zen server, and I set up some physical boxes. Now these physical boxes are just VMs. I put an agent in them so they have the look and feel of a physical server. And over here in our remote office in Pomfret, Connecticut, I have a VMware server with vCenter set up. I also have Red Hat KVM. It's actually overt KVM. That's the open source version of it. But when you look at it in Commvault, it'll say Red Hat. And I have some physical boxes set up. And again, these are just some physical machines, either in VMware or KVM. And up in Amazon, I just spun up a free instance, and up there I have a couple of VMs. I have a Windows VM set up as a virtual server agent so I can talk to Amazon and back things up. And I also set up a Linux host. And over here, the console, I'm actually sitting here in Pomfret, Connecticut, and I'll be logged into this CommServe up in North Andover. And this link here is only a 3 megabit link. So what I want you to keep in mind today is I'm on a very slow internet connection talking to our CommServe, and you'll find it's pretty snappy. So if you have any concerns about running Commvault, say you had a CommServe up in Boston, Massachusetts, and you're sitting in Los Angeles, California, and you want to control your Commvault environment, logging in via the web interface, no problem. It's going to be very quick. Okay, so let me minimize my diagram here, and I'll bring up the web console. And I think before I log in, let me just, real quick, this is vCenter. These are my VMs that I have set up, a couple of Linux boxes, a couple of Windows boxes. This Linux test, I actually restored this from Amazon. This Linux test server was up in Amazon running, and I did a restore back into VMware. So I'll go over that a little later. And then for my open virtualization, let me see, I got a lot of junk in here. These are my test clients I set up in KVM. This is using overt. And then my instance is up in Amazon. Real simple. I just set up a VSA server and a little Linux test server. All right, so to get logged in, let's do this. I'm going to log in as the administrator. And then it loads the applications. Now there's a lot of stuff in here that I could log into. What I'm going to demo today, I really just want to do the command center. Okay, so now we have our web console loaded. And I've always noticed with the web console with Commvault, once you get logged in, it does a lot of caching and it seems to get faster as you use it. Okay, so this is the main overview of the dashboard. It shows I have 24 servers in Commvault. I have 12 VMs. We do use this to back up our laptops. And I've got 8 users set up because we have some laptop users that use this regularly. And down here, I can see my current licensing. I can see how much I have backed up. I'm using 2 terabytes out of my 100 terabyte capacity. It's good to be a partner with Commvault. But what's nice about this, a lot of other products that are out there, when you want to do what they call a license true up, usually involves running scripts and doing all this data gathering. It's a pain in the neck. With Commvault, you can just log in here, and it's like a gas gauge. I know exactly how much I'm backing up and how much I have left. It's beautiful. Here you'll see there are some jobs running. I've had 71 successes. I've had 3 failed, and you can drill right into these to see what's going on. And being a backup guy, my glass is definitely half empty. So go look at the failed ones first, and we'll see what happened. And I have a DDB backup problem, and I just built this Linux server, and I accidentally didn't create a logical volume for my DDB backup, so I can't snapshot it. So that's why that's showing up. And there's a DDB maintenance script I was trying to run last night. I have to configure that. So I know what all these errors are, so it's fine. And you'll also notice none of these are clients. Now, if I go over here to active jobs, I have something backing up right now up in Amazon, which would explain why my my screen was a little slow getting in because I had a backup running. I've also got somebody's laptop running and another laptop running. So I got a couple of laptop users in here backing up right now. So that's why this is a little pokey. You probably noticed when I logged in, it was taking a while to load the apps. So, okay, so let's go back here. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Now this is the main overview for the dashboard. Next, you can go to the virtualization dashboard. And this is a little different flavor of it for people that run virtual environments. So it's tuned for that type of environment. And here you'll see I have a VMware vCenter. I've got Amazon, got Red Hat. I also have Zen. That's down here. That's Data Pivot 1. It just didn't fit up here. And you can look at my current SLA. And you can set SLAs for each one of your clients so you can see if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And we'll take a look and see, what happened. So I can click in here, look at the SLA report, and then it makes a nice little pie chart for you. And you can see I just started this demo up not too long ago. And if you click here where it says under failed, there was one VM. I was getting that set up last night and I didn't do it right, so it failed, but I've got it now. All right, so let's go back to our reports. And I want to go back to the virtualization dashboard one more time. Now down here, this is a nice little chart. When you can keep track of how your backups are running. It shows how many backups I have running all week long, and if they're successful. Green is good. If you see a lot of green, you're doing great. Over here is my largest hypervisors. I've only got 4, but it gives me a nice little breakdown of how many VMs I have in each one and what I'm backing up. And that's pretty much all there is to the main dashboard. Commvault also breaks things down by solutions. If you're backing up, virtual servers, file servers, laptops, big data, that'd be like Hadoop type stuff. You have databases you can look at. Different. I don't have any set up right now, so nothing would show up here. But this is where your Oracle servers would show up, Microsoft SQL, so you can see what's going on with that. And then down here for your applications, everybody's favorite, Exchange, your cloud applications, SharePoint, Active Directory, all these things would show up here. And it gives you a view that's pertinent to each one of those applications. All right, down here under configuration, Commvault has a thing called plans, which is pretty cool. You can take a server and you can put it into a plan. And a plan is composed of, let me just go in here just to show you what it looks like. It's basically where you're going to send it, how often you want to back it up. That's really, and how long you want to retain the data. Those 3 things. Because that's really, when you're talking about a client, that's what you always talk about anyway. So what Commvault did is they built these plans. So my backup frequency for this was back it up every 4 hours, every Monday through Friday. And then my storage, I'm going to use my global deduplication storage, GDDB1. My retention, I'm going to keep these guys for 30 days. That's it. That's all you do. And then if whatever you're backing up supports snapshots, you can turn that on. Like, for example, if we were backing up something that was on a NetApp filer, or maybe you wanted to use VSS snapshots on a client, you can do that. And then down here, you have your database options, how often you want to back up how often you want to back up your logs. And you can do it like every 4 hours, every hour, whatever you want to do. So plans are pretty cool. So basically you set up a plan of how you want things backed up. Then all you do is just add your clients to it and everybody picks up the plan. All right, so let's go to monitoring. And if you're a backup administrator, this is where you're going to go a lot. You just want to see what's going on. And remember, I just went in here a little while ago, and there were 3 jobs. Now there's only 1 job. And Nick is probably at a coffee shop or something today. He's must have just logged on. Is backing up a little slow. And incidentally, what's kind of neat with desktops and laptops, they'll queue and they'll wait for the user to log in, and then you can start backing them up. And I can also set the bandwidth so you don't kill the person's network connection. And Commvault's also smart enough where you can do metered backups. So what I've done for everybody in our office is the wireless connection is metered to their phones, because I don't want to make any big bills. So if somebody's out on a site with their cell phone, it won't back up. It's a metered connection. And then when they go to a place like a Starbucks, it could be a McDonald's, could be the office, and there's Wi-Fi, it's not metered, Commvault backs it up. So it's smart like that. So you won't get stuck with a big bill on your cell phone. And then here's a job history. And this is kind of good. When you come in the morning, you can go through and just see how everything ran last night. And looks like here I've got, there was probably 1 backup that didn't work. I'll have to take a look at that. This I already know. That's my DDB backup. I got to fix that. And then as we go through, everything's pretty good. And again, there's my DDB. I got to fix that. But everything's green. The thing that matters to me though is all the clients, and I can see everybody laptops are backing up. So that's great. So here's one of the laptops here. It backed up. Perfect. Only took 9 minutes. All right, so that's pretty much it there. Live Sync IO, this is for if you want to monitor. I don't have this set up in the demo, but what you can do is you can have 2 VMware servers, and you can leverage VMware's VAIO, and you can replicate between VMware servers. And it doesn't send the data through Commvault. It's VMware to VMware, just sending change blocks. And what that allows you to do is get a VM that's only 5 to 15 seconds behind the source VM. So it allows you to replicate. And there's a nice little page that comes up. It shows you each VM, how many seconds it's out of sync with the source VM. So this is kind of nice. You can do your replication on a VM to VM basis. And then the replication monitor, Commvault has a lot of different ways you can do replication. I don't have anything here because I haven't set anything up, but I can replicate directories, because in the old days people would take a file server and you would set up robocopy, and you'd robocopy periodically to an off-site server. Commvault allows you to do that. Essentially what you're doing is you're backing up a file server's directory, and then you can restore it off-site and you have an off-site copy. So it allows you to replicate. It's kind of like poor man's file synchronization. And there are alerts that you can take a look at. My index server, yes, I was working on that yesterday. I've got low space. I got to fix that. And then you can go through your events to see if there's any major events. This is where you would see if a tape drive broke or something like that. So you can go through here. It'll tell you if something's critical, anything that's going on in the environment. Okay, so now we can go to reports. Lots of good reports in here. I don't have enough time to go through all of these, but things you can go through, like your disk library utilization to see your capacity and growth and how things are going, your restore job summary, your auxiliary copies. Auxiliary copies are just copying backups offsite. For example, I didn't set this up here because I've got a slow network connection, but what I typically do for a lot of our clients is I'll back up to a media agent, and then the Commvault has a thing called an aux copy, and it just makes a second copy automatically to the second site. You can schedule it so that it runs like 30 minutes after the primary backup, or you could schedule it to run in the middle of the night, whatever you like to do. And you could do bi-directional aux copies. You can back up something here, copy it off site. And there's an SLA report. This is good to show to management to show how things are running. All right, so that's pretty much a lot of good reports in here. Now under administration, this is where you administer the environment. Monitoring is for like, just to see how things are running, but administration is actually configuring servers and things. So the first thing I wanted to show you here was the server. And here it'll go through, tell you all the servers you have, and it shows every kind, and it tells you if it's an agent or if it's just a virtual machine. Because you don't have to, if you want to recover files in Commvault, you don't need to install an agent. You can actually restore files right off of a VM if you want to. And if we scroll down, if we go to, for example, so I'll look at this machine here. This is a virtual machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull all the information about it. And it's been running for a couple of days now. You can see how this is, it's like a light blue. What'll happen is as you go through the month, all these, if they're darker color, means you got a good backup from that particular day. So let's say I want to pick yesterday to do a restore, and I have this thing running every few hours. And I want to do a restore. I can click here. And let's say I want to do a full virtual machine recovery. And what I'm going to show you here is pretty cool. You noticed when I started this, I have Amazon set up. Commvault automatically detects any of the hypervisors you have, and if automatic conversions are available, it will offer it to you. So when I do my restore up here, if I click here, notice how it says Amazon? So now I can pick Amazon, and my destination would be Amazon. I have to go pick my availability zone, and I would submit this, and it would start to do the restore right up to Amazon. And as I mentioned, when I started this, you'll notice that when you go to the file servers, there's a server called Linux Test 123. If I go back here to virtualization, what I'm trying to say is it goes both ways. I can actually have a restore. If I go to my vCenter, I already took a machine up in Amazon and I restored it back to here, and I can show that right here. This is a Linux test. And I think if I bring up my console here, see how it says Amazon Linux 2? So you can see that's an Amazon VM, and that is currently running in VMware. And then if I wanted to, I could put it back in Amazon. You can go both directions. And it's really handy if you are just migrating out to the cloud, or if you have something running up in the cloud and you're having a, oh my goodness moment when you see the bill because it's high CPU or high I/O or something, you can bring it back on site. All right, let's see if this will cooperate with me. And let's go administration. And you can make, Commvault does have the ability to do server groups. And what's nice about groups is you can put like clients together. That's all it is. So, for example, you can see some of the vCenter stuff shows up as a group. And see how I have one here called Pomfret. Anything in Pomfret, let me just pull up my little diagram here. That would be over here. Anything I put in this Pomfret group is going to back up here. Because what you don't want to have happen is it to automatically select this media agent, go across the WAN. I want it to go local. So there's some pretty cool things you can do with groups. Because otherwise, when you're doing configurations, you get a lot of one-offs. And as everybody knows, one-offs are a killer in administration. And here there's metrics reporting. I don't have this set up. Metrics reporting allows you to do some, just basically pull a lot of data out of the metadata you already have. Typical questions in an environment like, why do we have so much data being backed up? What's out there? So metrics reporting will allow you to go through and use an index server to find out what files are out there, how old they are, what type of files, all that kind of stuff. And then, let's see, under System, this is just basically setting up access and control, your credential manager, how you're going to log in. There's also, you can set up Commvault LiveSync. Now, before I had talked about LiveSync IO, CommServe LiveSync is different. What that does use Commvault. And when you back up a VM in one location, let me go back to my little diagram here. So if I back up a VM here, and this is for VMware and Hyper-V only, it doesn't support Xen or KVM. You can basically back up a VM here and then replicate that data over to here and then restore it. And It's basically what you would do on your own. You would, if you went into the GUI and you did a backup and you did a restore to the remote location. And for a lot of customers, that's fine. That's all they want. So if I lose my main site and I want to bring up the DR site, I've got a VM there, and all I would have to do, because Commvault does use change block tracking in VMware, I can do a restore and just roll that VM forward to the most recent backup if I want to, and I'll be all set. Because otherwise you'd have to restore the whole thing. So what I see a lot of customers do is they just do a live sync, say once a week, and then if they want to do a recovery for real, they can basically tell Commvault to restore from the incremental backups and just add the change blocks to the VM. Only takes a couple minutes, and then you can fire that VM right up. So live sync is pretty cool, and it saves you a lot of money over using VMware's SRM. And then here for the network, I can do, if I wanted to, some people still use backup networks. Like, for example, if you can't leverage deduplication, you're backing up images and you've got a lot of traffic, Commvault has a nice configuration tool to help you set up all your backup networks for individual clients. They also have network topologies that you can set up and define. I don't have any here, but it allows you to run your backups basically through a firewall or through a proxy. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And Commvault is really, really good about how it handles firewalls. They have a server you can set up that can be a network proxy, and you can put it out in your DMZ so that all your clients, like your laptops and things, can connect to the DMZ client, and then Commvault connects to your proxy out in the firewall to do the backups. And what I'm getting at is you don't have to punch holes in your firewall to do backups with Commvault. A lot of products do, and that's trying to get that past security. It's just not going to happen in a lot of companies. So if you need to back up through a firewall, Commvault can do it without punching any holes. And then down here is the standard policies. We can have various schedules that we have set up. You know, you could have a nightly schedule. You can have one for production, one for your databases, and everything else within the environment, however you need to have your schedule. This is pretty typical for any backup product. They have schedules for running various jobs. And here I have my storage. And what this does, it goes through how I've set my storage up. Like I have a disk library. I can have something backing up to the cloud. I could have, good old tape library. There's various ways I want to do it. And here I have our standard policy that's 60 days with a month end. This is what I use for our laptops. And it's going to basically to a disk library. So it keeps it for 60 days and it has a month end backup. And let me get down here to storage. And storage pools, Commvault allows you to do storage pools. So you could actually have groups of servers that you want to put together into a storage pool. Could be tape libraries, could be cloud. And this actually showed up in the server plans that we looked at earlier. And here it just shows me what my deduplication savings are. We get pretty decent dedupe. I'm at 86.82%. That's usually higher because I'm doing a lot of laptop backups and people have images and stuff like that on there that doesn't dedupe particularly well. But it's still doing a pretty good job with it. And here you can see our backup storage is just a Linux machine. It's a Linux media agent. And I have a bunch of directories set up. And backup 1, 2, 3, 4, and Commvault just saves the data in there. And then down below, scroll down a little bit, there's my deduplication database. And what this is telling me, I'm protecting 10.41 terabytes of application data. And it only takes up 1.37 terabytes on disk, and that would be in here. Now, storage targets, this is kind of a nice little view of everything you're using in the environment. And it shows my disk libraries. And Commvault calls a server that just has basic disk storage in the back end a disk library. And again, here it just shows, the average throughput. My throughput's not the greatest because I do a lot of desktop, laptop backups, and they're coming across WAN connections and things like that. But again, there's the Linux media agent. And lifecycle policies, I don't have any set up at the moment. I've done monitoring, policy storage, security. Okay. Now for security, you can actually set up individual users. That's what I have here. I was working with a client. We were setting up some ITAR. It's basically a security protocol to lock things down. But anyway, you can set up users either as a local user, or you can integrate with Active Directory, or you can use LDAP. So what I usually see customers do is they'll set up groups in their Active Directory or LDAP and just add users to that as they come and go. You don't want to be in Commvault constantly adding users, taking them out, setting the permissions and all that. So you can basically set up your user groups. I'll go to that next. That's a little better view. And inside of each group, you can assign people to the administration group, a read-only group, or you can view everything. So it's kind of nice. You could just do it by groups, and then, as maybe you have an intern that's going to work with the summer, you can put him in the operator group. So maybe he's going to do tapes, or he's going to do restores for people, or things like that. You can set permissions per group. And then Commvault's really good with roles. I don't have enough time to go through all of these, but their permissions are super granular. Like you can give a person a permission to only restore from a tape, or maybe they can only restore from a media agent in a certain location. They even have the ability where the user, for like a laptop, they have an Eric Snowden feature where it says that only the owner of a laptop can do a restore. The administrator can't see the data, they can't restore it, they can back it up, but they can't do anything with it. So it's very, I know a lot of products don't have this, and it's really good for if you're a manager and you want to have people at each location have certain functions or have access to certain things in the environment, like clients or libraries, things like that. It's beautiful. Commvault also has the ability to go through different key management servers. I'm not using any, but Commvault also takes care of keys too. It'll do AES 256 encryption, and it handles all the keys for you, so you don't have to even get into using a key management system. I've never been a big fan of these, because if I go to do a restore, if my site burns down and I have to go to a completely new site and get completely new gear, and I've got to handle a key management system and get the keys back. So how are you going to manage the keys? Where are you going to put them? Who's going to take care of them and all that? I always just let Commvault do it. It's easier. And they have developer tools, and there's also the web console. And the web console just brings you back to the main page. So that's pretty much it, just going through here. You can see it's a pretty snappy little GUI, all HTML5. And again, I'm running this thing over a small connection, only 3.5 megabit, and it's getting pretty good speed, and it's pretty peppy. So with that said, I think that's enough to be said about the Commvault GUI. And on a side note, Commvault also has a site. It's the same software, called cloud.commvault.com, and this is a GUI. This is actually running at Commvault, and it comes with your service. So what's kind of nice about this, you don't have to VPN into your server. You can just log into the site, and it's just got metadata in here, so there's no security risks. And inside of cloud.commvault.com, every product I've ever worked with always says, hey, how do I take care of this environment? Commvault's got you covered. You can click on that little health button, and it goes through your environment, and it'll tell you what you need to fix, what's good, what's bad. Like for example, mine says copy redundancy. That's because I don't have any aux copies set up. And my SLA, it says it's okay. I can go through capacity and planning. I got plenty of space in my disk libraries. My disk aging and disk pruning is working great. Storage policies are looking good. Tape libraries doesn't show up anything because I don't have any, and I don't have a cloud library at the moment. And you can see how my deduplication databases are going. So basically, you can go into this health report as an administrator periodically. Just go into this thing and, do what you need to do to make things happy. And as always, if there, you can't fix something or you don't know what to do, as a Commvault customer, you can always open up a ticket with Commvault support, and they'll be happy to go through this with you and help you fix anything in here. But I find this to be very helpful, especially for new Commvault users, just trying to get used to how this runs. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me an email at commvault@datapivotech.com. Again, my name is Jim Byrne, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them at the bottom of our page here and in YouTube. And I appreciate it. All right, thank you.